All right, Sistas fans, mid-season finale time. This was it, season 7, episode 11, entitled Gone Girl. Um, I thought it was okay. I'm going to be honest here. What really brought this episode down to me was Karen's funky attitude throughout. I don't know what it was, but the episode started off with, you had Marie, then you had Karen just in these funky moods, and that kind of just killed the vibe for me. But I did give this episode a 7 out of 10. I know some people would argue that's a bit too high of a score, but for the most part, I did enjoy several moments of the episode, such as Sabrina getting her old job back, Zach bringing Fatima lunch while she was studying at work, Zach's sweet moment with Michael over at the house when he was reading to him. The mocktail party up until the point where Karen and Pam just strolled in and just sucked the fun out of the room. But then Danny told her off. Then the look on Karen's face when she learned that Zach is the father of only one out of 2 twins. And, a couple other things. But, yeah, the episode was better than the Oval. I will say that. I mean, the Oval, I gave it a 3 out of 10. And aside from the scene between Richard and Nancy, Hunter and Jason, and then the banter with the characters before the shootout happened, that was a lackluster cliffhanger of a season finale. But when it comes to the mid-season, I think this episode did a decent enough job. I like the acting. We got a couple new characters introduced. And for the most part, I had fun with it. But like I said, it was the Karen aspect that just really took me out of the episode at times. But before moving into the review, let me know in the comments below if you can help a brother out. Hit the thumbs up button to show you like the video. Hit subscribe. Seriously, we're getting closer to 300,000 subscribers, so just hit the button. I know a lot of people are don't subscribe to the channel, but the show is gone until May 22nd. And in the event any news about Sistas or Zatima drops between now and then, you want to make sure you're updated. So hit subscribe, and if you are subscribed, hit the bell icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post content on the channel. And of course, follow me on social media. Links are in the description. So let's jump in. So Dagger is the name of the head cleaner that Gary hired to, remove Penelope and his unborn child from the office. Now, he is kind of testy about it. Like, how long is this going to take, man? Hey, look, this isn't our first rodeo together, so you made quite a mess this time, which indicates that this has happened on more than one occasion. So, Gary, how many people? This is just like Jason on the Oval. It's like, okay, so we know he killed Jean, his grandma, Denise, but how many other people has this dude murdered that we don't know about? Yo, this is pretty wild. But then out of nowhere, Andy just wakes up from a nightmare, similar to how Danny woke up from a nightmare at the beginning of the season. Oh, the season 6 cliffhanger where I got attacked in the parking lot was a nightmare. But now it's like a question of, hold up, did Penelope really get murdered by Gary? Or was this all like a dream or nightmare that Andy was having? Like maybe the events of real life were impacting her inner psyche. Like Brenton gave her all this information about Gary's, evil deeds. And then she told this stuff to Penelope. And then knowing that Penelope now is who she was over the past 6 seasons, she probably didn't want to believe it. And how do we know she didn't go to confront Gary about it? So this could all be Andy's nightmare, or she just had a premonition about what happened. She did say that there was a woman screaming and a lot of blood, but I don't know. And then guess what? The next day she's right there in Gary's office. So yikes, this is pretty dark, but I already did a separate video on it. And honestly, I couldn't tell you what went down. Like maybe Penelope wasn't killed, but maybe because Gary knew that she was onto him, he decided to take her off the board by locking her away somewhere. We don't know, but we'll just have to wait and see. But this was a very interesting opening to the episode. So the next day, Andy's happy after, the night with Jordan. She comes into work smiling, saying good morning to everybody. But then Marie is like scowling at her from her office. And then Fatima's like, yeah, you might want to go in there. So when she goes in there, she's just pissed off saying like, you know what? You don't keep me waiting, but we didn't have a meeting on schedule. You need to be working on this around the clock. So Andy just runs to open a folder and then they get started on working on this case. And later on, we actually see that Marie is in better spirits because Andy's listing all the things like, oh, I got a financial advisor looking over your assets and whatnot. And, we got another person getting an NDA from your husband. And then Marie just calls out the reality of it. Look, we live in a world where prostitutes and whatnot try to bring down former presidents. So what makes you think my soon to be ex-husband won't say anything negative about me in the press? And then, Andy just tries to reassure her the importance of getting these things on paper. But Hayden, based off what we know in the back half of the season with Marie putting the moves on Hayden in the hotel room, the fact that Hayden interjects the moment that Marie is talking about being on the beach with a, fine man massaging her naked behind. And then Hayden's like, well, actually, I'd like to, give my 2 cents. And this just shows you, again, that Hayden is a slime ball, but he knows what he's doing when it comes to his job. He brings up the fact that, oh, well, actually, based on a prenup your husband signed, a few years ago, a good chunk of your assets and finances are in danger. And Marie allows him to speak and pretty much says that, well, Andy's good at what she does, but anyone with a sliver of, a sliver of competence would make sure we look over these files properly in order to get the job done. So at that moment, Hayden secured his co-counsel with Andy. And yeah, so now they're working together. And Andy is pissed off. She is pacing around her office, and then Fatima comes in to see, hey, what's wrong? And then she goes off about Hayden, and then Hayden comes in, and Fatima's pissed off, but, she ends up leaving because we have this great moment between Andy and Hayden. And I like the fact that we're switching up the dynamic of the antagonistic roles in the office because, yeah, it just got tired with the same old thing. Oh, Hayden's trying to ruin Zach and, get back at Fatima, who even called out. It's like, what, the fact that me and you had one night together and you've been sprung ever since. But no, it's the fact that I said this last week and I'll say it again. If these two work together, I get it, because in the black community, especially, in like entertainment business, there's always the conversation of, when a black person makes it to the top, it's rare that they reach down and help out those who, help them along the way, or, just even reach back because, well, hey, you made it to the top of the mountain, but you know how hard it was for you to make it. Why don't you do something with your celebrity or your position to help those who don't have as much? Because it's rare that any black person makes to the top. But in this competition, we only have one spot open for the position of partner. And it could be Hayden or Andy or a dark horse, somebody that we don't expect. But I want to throw in another argument. And that's the fact that Hayden and Andy are two of the few black individuals at the law firm. The ones we know of. I'm not talking about receptionists or anything. I'm talking about legit attorneys. Andy, Hayden, well, and Mike from Bruh, even though he was on, suspension or leave or whatever. So we do know there are at least 3 different black people who work there. Robin got the boot. He was allegedly the owner of this whole show, but he got, canned. So we're just looking at these 2 right now, Andy and Hayden. If they put their skills together, I'm pretty sure that they would clean house with any client. But unfortunately, there's only one partner position. So yeah, these 2 really do need to work together for the sake of this billionaire client, because like she said, you know what? I could easily take my fortune and your hefty commission to another firm altogether. So you better start working together on this case. So what do you think about the dynamic? I think this scene was really good because it's been a while since we just had Andy and Hayden going at it, as opposed to like Fatima stepping in. No, it's like, no, Fatima, you could bust his kneecaps if you want to, but it ain't going to go too good because then you're going to ruin Andy's chances. So what do you think about all this? Andy looked shook. That's all I know. But speaking of Fatima, she was in the conference room studying and whatnot. And I just love the fact that we're seeing her dedicated to something other than, being there for Zach. Not saying she hasn't been. I mean, like, she's doing something for her, which I do love. And even better, we got Zach rolling up with some lunch and some coffee. I just love that. The fact that it was a sweet Zatima moment. Just him doing something for his woman. And it's kind of like, well, Jeremy, what about when he brought food for Karen at the hospital? Just let this moment, let him have this moment, okay? But the conversation kind of shifts the moment that Danny calls with the invite to the mocktail party. And we do know she kind of does this potentially to spite Karen. But Zach mentions how, look, you and Karen have a lot in common and y'all could be cool. But look, SWV and Escape would have to go on tour at peace before me and Karen get together. I'm just saying, Zach, it's not going to happen. So earlier in the episode, Sabrina actually calls Karen about the mocktails. And it's funny to me because, it's kind of like she vouches for Fatima because Karen was the one to say, when you say just the girls, you mean just the girls, the sister circle, because it just seems that there are other members of our group who are open to adding additional members. And it's like, Fatima's cool. It's like, and then out of nowhere, that's when India shows up and Sabrina has to get off the phone. But, that's when she learns that she made manager and she's all excited. And it was a good moment. I loved it. Sabrina got her job back. But in any case, this is where Karen gets really messy. So she calls Danny and tells her about the mocktail and then takes it upon herself as like, Brina wants mocktails tonight and just for the girls. No, Fatima. She said it in a way like Sabrina was the one that said, hey, it's just for the girls. It's not for Fatima. No, nuh-uh. And then Danny checked her behind. But then Karen's just wanted to start some shit. How would you feel if I hung out with Tony's ex-wife? Go ahead. They split. It's good. What about if I hung out with the chick that married Preston? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Karen, whatever happens to you later in the episode, you had it coming. Because one of my favorite lines of the episode was Danny saying, look, Karen, just because you're carrying those twins doesn't make you a mama to the rest of the group. We're grown ass women. If we want to have friends outside of the group, we can have friends outside of the group. And then she hangs up on her. So then you have Karen being the manipulative slime ball she is. She snaps on Pam, who goes over there. It's like, because she overhears Karen over the phone and she's like, are you okay? But then after snapping on her, you know what, Pam, I'm sorry. How would you like to hang out tonight? Okay, this is unlike you, but yeah, let's do it. This is just like in season 4 when, Karen was being all nice and, hey, Andy, can we get the girls together? And Fatima included because I want to talk to y'all about something. And then at the 11th hour, that's when Andy realizes, wait a minute, you only wanted Fatima to come up here so you can, no! And then she just acting all cold and crap. This is what she does. She's a freaking user. That's all she is. So Pam is invited to the mocktail. So, side note, Maurice is having, interesting conversation with Grayson over the phone. Sabrina stops by briefly to talk about the fact that she got the manager job back and the fact that Maurice can get his job back too, because he apparently dropped dime on Paige giving oral to customers in the parking lot, which was most likely a lie. But the fact that he would do that to kind of, ensure Sabrina's victory as a friend, Maurice. But on the other hand, I wish that it was more of we knew that Sabrina got the job back on her own merit versus sabotage. But that's just me. But then again, you could look at it from the fact that Paige was making up those lies, some of the employees have concerns and are questioning your leadership. And it's like, no, it was Paige who probably did that. So you could argue like, hey, karma, an eye for an eye, right? But in any case, Maurice gets his job back. But I talk about that in my separate video about with him being the throat goat and having an online persona. Do you think that could bring some attention to the bank? Like maybe he has some super fans that come in. It's like, oh my, wait, you work here? So I don't know. Could Maurice potentially lose his job due to his online persona? Just like so many people in real life do once their OnlyFans accounts are discovered. Who knows? But yeah, so Pam actually asked Karen for an extra 30 minutes on lunch so she can go to the bank to talk to Sabrina in order to open a business account because, after talking with lawyers, thanks to Andy, she must have given me a phone call because remember, Jeremy was the lawyer that was supposed to help her out. Basically, Pam wanted to start a business account and just move forward because, hey, you know what? You're my role model, not Beyonce, my cousin, not Oprah, not Rihanna, but no. You, Karen, you're my inspiration because you were able to pick yourself up after losing the salon. You're pregnant with twins, but you were able to hustle and make it to where you are now. And then Karen almost broke down. I'm like, wow, that's great. It's like, see, Karen, I mean, you're really sweet when you want to be in terms of being emotional. And it's like, if Karen said kind words to people, at the same rate that people are kind to her, she will be a much better, not just a character, but a person for it. But no, this all gets shot to hell because later on, we get Tony giving Danny, a replacement for the necklace that her daughter got from her. And it's real this time, even though it's like, these look like the same Wilma Flintstone's necklace rocks that she had before. But hey, it was a sweet gesture. And then they have sex in the office, but he makes sure, look, my secretary was sent home for the rest of the day. Ain't no kids around. It's just me and you, baby. So we go over to the juice shop, and Rich is making the mocktail. Sabrina loves it. And to celebrate her getting her position back, he got her this nice bag that she wanted. So I thought that was pretty cool. But, we got Danny walking in. And this is like the party starting. You got Danny coming in, and it turns out Rich has the place reserved for an hour for the girls. Oh wow, you must be putting it on him really good if he's closing the shop down for an hour. Yep, every night. So I thought that was pretty funny. So then Fatima walks in, and then Andy comes in. The girls are just having a fun meet and greet, just having a good time. And guess what? All of that goes flying out the window the moment that these two buzzards come in. Because somebody pointed out, notice how the girls are all wearing bright colors. You got Sabrina and Danny, and like pure white. You got Andy, and then Andy looked fine in that red suit. You got Andy in red, and then you got Fatima in pink, but then you got Pam and Karen just coming in there in all black, and it's like, oh shit. So, oh wow, okay, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but Andy's wearing bright red, but her undershirt or dress is black, which could mean that, while she's, excited and lively about the idea of all the girls hanging out, she still has this underlying allegiance to Karen. So she's wearing black alongside Pam and Karen. That's a possibility. But look, it's just ugly the way that these two were depicted in this scene. So they're over there just scowling at the other girls. You got Danny, who's adding a little something to her mocktail. Fatima, is smiling, and Sabrina smiling. Andy's just looking like, oh, Danny. And then you got these two just on the side, just like ready for something to pop off. So then Karen decides to run her mouth to Danny about, oh, you've always been selfish ever since like freshman year and whatnot. And then, she mentions like, you know what? Well, what about when Zach, we were going through it and he was staying at your house and this, that, and the third. And then it's like, I'm carrying his children. And then Fatima under her breath said, yeah, even though we're not sure of the paternity yet. And then that's when Karen decided to clap back. And then she started letting bitches fly out of her mouth. And then when Fatima said something, Pam's going to say something. And it's like, who the hell are you? I don't know you like that. It's like, look, she's pregnant. And that's the only reason I'm sparing her. But I don't know you. I'll pop you in the mouth. And Pam's like, and I was so glad that, Fatima checked her, because Pam, this was just like when Zach was at the salon demanding a DNA test, and then Trey took it upon himself to come up and say something. I was like, bro, this ain't got nothing to do with you. Just sit in the corner and sip on your drink. You have nothing. You have no reason to say anything right now. So when it comes to, Karen, she just throws a hissy fit, and Rich comes over to see what's going on, and then she snaps on him. And I love the fact that Sabrina said, "Nuh-uh, don't you talk to my man like that." I like that. But then, out of nowhere, Karen just starts attacking everybody. So what about it, Sabrina? Why do you always try to fix things and minimize shit? This is just, I don't even need to dissect this scene. It was just so juvenile and immature. So then she just goes out, and it's like, I don't even know why I'm friends with you, Danny. Go ahead then, I don't care. But Danny's just fed up. And I love the fact that, when Andy's trying to, well, Karen, no, she didn't mean it, and this and that. It's like, no. I'm done. She can run her mouth all she wants to, but Karen is not going to get her way. If we want to be friends with somebody, we're going to be friends with somebody. And I will admit, I did laugh. It's like, roots to riches, bitches. Fatima was like, never heard of it. And then Pam in the distance says, you will. That was actually really funny. I got a legit chuckle out of that. But in the midst of this drama, Andy gets a phone call from Jordan about Penelope. It's like, hey, I haven't seen or heard from her in a while. Like, what's going on? So then we have Andy telling Fatima they got to go. So they rush off to Gary's office, which leads to the sneak peek, which I think for the first time this season, the sneak peek we got was from a scene later in the episode rather than the opening scene of the episode. So I thought that was pretty cool. But basically, Gary's in there smoking a cigar. He's just, on cloud nine, because earlier Ethan Kerr, a new character, was a plant inserted into Jordan's campaign in order to ruin it from the inside out. So basically, Ethan has been planted by Hudson because, like, okay, hey, that girl with the allegations, that didn't work. So what we're going to do, we're going to try a different angle. So this dude is overqualified. You know, even though he seems like Preston with the Southern drawl, it's like, hey, don't let the voice and whatnot fool you. I'm all for diversity. And I think, you know, your campaign, you're the right person to help out this city, but also this state in order to move forward. So it turns out that Jordan, you just let a Trojan horse into your house, you know, but, Gary's excited about that. And also in the promo for season 7B, we know that Jordan is going to get orders from Hudson to drug his drink. So this dude could possibly kill or incapacitate Jordan. But in any case, Andy and Fatima confront Gary, knife to his, neck and everything, throat and everything. But he's not coughing up any information about Penelope. Andy makes it clear, like, look, I know she was on to you. So, and I was wondering in that moment if Andy was going to click saying, oh my God. She did say that she heard a woman screaming and saw a lot of blood, but I don't think she ever mentioned to Jordan that I kind of recognize where she was. So also those cleaners did a hell of a good job because remember, these two stormed in his office and there was no sign of Penelope's blood or anything anywhere. So yikes. But in any case, we don't get any information yet. Of course, we know this interrogation leads into the next episode, but we won't get that until May. All right, so we get a cute scene. This was very, very brief, but it was just a cute scene of like, Zach and Michael having a little father-son time where, he's playing with some toys and Zach grabs a book and, they have story time together. Just like with Zach bringing lunch and, coffee to Fatima at work. This was just a fun little moment that feels so earned because Zach has fought so long and hard to get custody of his son. And if I'm not mistaken, I think DeVal and his wife, if I'm not mistaken, I think they even wrote a children's book, so I thought that's pretty cool. This wasn't a book. I think he was reading like a book of African folktales. So yeah, I thought that was pretty fun. Now from there, we got Andy. Oh, actually, sorry. I already covered that. The last thing to talk about, Karen gets home. She just kicks back and relaxes. I'm just thinking to myself, this is what Karen does after a day of raising hell. She just comes home and unwinds. It's like, this is why she was so bent out of shape when her mom made it so she couldn't go around. She would have to stay, in bed and relax because the doctor's orders. It's like, no, Karen was so upset about being locked away for like 36 hours due to the fact that she wasn't out there raising hell. So then Pam gives her a call to make sure she got home okay. And Pam, thanks for having my back today. You know it, girl. I'm like, shut the hell up. Just shut the hell up. I don't know who's worse, Pam for backing her up or Karen for using Pam just to have a backup choir when she went to see the girls. But basically, another phone call comes through and she thinks it's Sabrina, but it's actually Dr. Phillips who gives her the news about the DNA test results being uploaded to the digital file. So she should have them. Oh, well, I don't need to see him. It's just a formality. I know that Zachary Taylor is the father of my children. Well, actually, you are correct. He's the father of one. Excuse me. And then one fetus, not the other. In rare cases, you can be impregnated by more than one man. And then the episode fades to black. Best part of this scene was just Karen's face drop. Now, after all the hell she raised earlier in the episode, I would have loved it if the doctor said, well, actually, you're wrong. Zachary Taylor isn't the father of your twins. I would have laughed my ass off. The fact that, oh, Zach isn't the father of your twins, and now you need to test another guy. But yeah, I'm not going to complain. We've all talked about the possibility of Zach being the father of one and Aaron or someone else being the father of the other kid. So I'm not going to trip. But this episode did no favors for Karen as a character. I mean, like we're all saying, season 6B, we were looking at her nice persona with a side eye, but then she regressed back to her original persona in season 7. And Karen, as much as I talk about The Oval being a boring, repetitive show, the storyline with the babies, it's so exhausting because I don't know about you, but when I finished this episode, I was just exhausted because Karen just drained me of having a good time. To see the girls just having a great time, laughing and giggling and whatnot, and then you got Karen and Pam on the sidelines just hating, just waiting for a moment to interject and start some shit. That was just messed up. But overall, this was a decent episode. I don't have too many gripes about it. But yeah, I think the writers have been doing a great job with the season so far. I haven't agreed with everything, but for the most part, I haven't enjoyed Sisters like this in quite some time. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.